All right, on to example 2. So for example 2, we want to find the 6 trigonometric functions for 210 degrees. So that means, well, if I go around, remember 90, 180, well, 210 is going to be a little bit past 180. It's going to be somewhere like that. So here's my 210 degrees. My reference angle will be 30 degrees. So now here's where we're really going to see where that reference angle helps us out. And so we want to find the 6 trigonometric functions for 210 degrees. All right, so first is if I think about what ratios I'm going to have here. Okay, so when I did my trig functions here, notice that these are all positive. So if I have an acute angle, all of these are positive. So I have to go back and think about what's going to happen here. So remember, my x value is negative, my y value is negative, but my r is positive. So if I think about which ones are going to be, let's say x, y, so negative and negative, which ones are going to be negative, which are going to be positive? Well, if we have sine of theta, and let's do our y over r, cosine theta, x over r, tangent theta, y over x, cosecant was r over y, so I need to space this out a little bit. Secant is r over x, and cotangent is x over y. So for 30 degrees, okay, well, y over r, r is positive, this is negative. So the sine function for 210 degrees is really going to be negative. Cosine of 210 degrees is also going to be negative because that x value is negative, but r is positive. Here, negative over negative is positive. Cosecant of 210 degrees is, well, r over y. Well, r is positive, y is negative, so that's positive over negative, so that's negative. Okay, secant, so again, that's going to be negative. And cotangent, x and y are both negative, so negative divided by negative is positive. So when I look at all of those functions, I see that these will, sine and cosine will be negative, and cosecant and secant will be negative, but tangent and cotangent will be positive. So I'm going to kind of put these side by side so we see. All right, so sine of 30 degrees, cosine, so I'm starting with 30 degrees. We'll see how this translates. So cosecant, secant, and I just barely have enough room. Cotangent. All right, so sine of 30 degrees. Will I draw out the rectangle, whatever, or go back to what we already figured out? Okay, sine of 30 degrees, all I know is 1/2. Cosine of 30 degrees is square root of 3 over 2. Tangent of 30 degrees is square root of 3 over 3. Cosecant was 2. Secant was 2 square root of 3 over 3. Cotangent was square root of 3. So that's if it was 30 degrees. So that's our reference angle. So our cosine of 210 degrees, oh, that should be sine. Sine of 210 degrees. Remember what we said, that was going to be negative. So this should be negative 1/2. a cosine of 210 degrees. Okay, well, it's going to be the same number as cosine of 30 degrees, but it's going to be negative because of where it is. It should be negative square root of 3 over 2. Okay, tangent of 210 degrees. Okay, well, it said that's going to be positive, so it's going to be the same. Cosecant of 210 degrees. Well, cosecant we said was going to be negative, so it should be a negative 2. Secant of 210 degrees. Well, we said that would be negative, so negative 2 square root of 3 over of 3. And then cotangent, we said that was going to be positive, so cotangent of 210 degrees is square root of 3. So we could figure out what some different x and y values are, or draw in a triangle, that's fine. But if we know whether they should be positive or negative, we could use that as well. All right, example 3. Find the exact values. I need to fix it. So of each expression and find the coterminal angle. So cosine of negative 240 degrees. So if I go negative 240 degrees, well, first we really want the coterminal angle of 240 degrees, or negative 240 degrees. So we don't want to go backwards, we want to have a positive. So negative 240 degrees, we add 360 degrees, we get 120 degrees. So that's the angle we're going to use. So 90 degrees, and then I need another 30 degrees to get to 120 degrees. So remember our reference angle, it's going to be this one. So how do I get back to the x-axis? Well, I need another 60 degrees to get to 180. All right, so that's what we would use for any of our trig functions. So what is the cosine of 240 degrees? Well, it's going to be the same as the cosine of 120 degrees. Okay, now our reference angle is 60 degrees. So cosine of 60 degrees. Well, if we go back, cosine of 60 degrees, well, that was adjacent over opposite, so that was 1/2. Now we just have to figure out, well, is that going to be positive or negative? Well, if we think back here, we have our x and our y values. Our x values are negative and our y values are positive. Okay, and cosine was, if we look back, cosine is x over r. Well, in this case, x is negative. So cosine of theta in the second quadrant should be a negative number. So if cosine of 60 degrees is 1/2, cosine of 120 degrees is negative 1/2, and that also means that cosine of negative 240 degrees is 1/2. All right, one more quick example for 3. All right, so tangent of 675. Once again, we want a coterminal angle. So 675, well, if I go around once, that's 360 degrees. If I go around twice, that's 720, which is more than 365. So I only have to subtract 360 here. So I get 315 degrees. So the angle I'm going to draw, 90, 180, 270. How much further do I need? Well, that's 30, 45 degrees. So it's going to be halfway. Nope. It's close. Not quite. But there's my 315-degree angle. I'm in quadrant 4. And my reference angle is going to be this one. Well, what do I need to get back to 360? Well, this is 45 degrees. So this is equal to tangent of 315 degrees. And we want to use our reference angle of 45 degrees. So first thing we want to do is tangent of 45 degrees. So tangent of 45 degrees is, now let's go back and look. So tangent of 45 degrees, so that would be opposite over adjacent, which was 1 over 1, which is 1. So tangent of 45 degrees is 1. Now we need to remember, is this going to be positive when we go back here, or is it going to be negative? So remember, we have x values that are positive, y values that are negative. And tangent, so tangent of theta, remember it's opposite over adjacent, or the y value over the x value. So my y value is negative, my x value is positive. Negative over positive is negative. So this should be negative if I'm doing the tangent of 315 degrees, which means that the tangent of 675 degrees is also negative 1.